Hello guys, welcome back. Another day, we're going to be talking about the recent Winnipeg Jets rumors on Jacob Trouba, Patrik Laine, and Nicolai Ehlers. The Winnipeg Jets are in for a very busy offseason, but what's the latest juicy rumors and news on guys like Patrik Laine, Jacob Trouba, and Nicolai Ehlers? Watch till the end to find out. Now, the Winnipeg Jets might be one of the most interesting teams this NHL offseason. They got a lot of different guys to sign and to trade, and a lot of different decisions to make. But the three guys that we'll be talking about in this video, Patrik Laine, Jacob Trouba, and Nicolai Ehlers, those are three guys, all three that could be shipped off this offseason. The first player we're going to talk about in this video is Patrik Laine, and he is a very interesting player in this offseason. He has a very unique case that not a lot of other players have followed. Now, he is an RFA at age 21, Finnish-born right winger, drafted second overall back in the 2016 NHL draft, and he had a very interesting year. In the 2018-2019 season with Winnipeg, he played 82 games, getting 30 goals, 20 assists for 50 points. In the playoffs, he started up quite a bit, playing 6 games, getting 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. What makes Patrik Laine so unique in this RFA sequence is a situation. He probably had the worst year out of his 3 years in the NHL. He's an RFA this season, but he's had great seasons in the past in the NHL, scoring a ton of points, scoring a ton of goals, and being overall a pretty solid player. But this year, he pretty much dropped off. The consistency was nowhere to be found, and it's a very interesting sequence because with Patrik Laine, you could say he's maybe worth up to $8 million. You could also make the argument that he's not even worth $6 or $5 million. It really is a spread out situation, and that's why a lot of people are leading on that he might get traded this offseason. Now, Winnipeg has $25 million in cap space this offseason, and when it comes to the whole contract situation for them, Patrik Laine would likely be the guy to get the most money out of all of their free agents this season, and that's a problem. When it comes to Patrik Laine, I don't think Winnipeg really has enough money to sign him, to sign Trouba, to sign whoever they want out of their free agents. I don't think they have that money right now, but signing a guy like Patrik Laine, it might be their number one priority, but something that they might not be able to do right now because of their limited cap space. Now, when it comes to Patrik Laine, he's probably going to ask upwards of $8, maybe even $9 million. Hey, who knows, maybe even $10 million. But the guy I don't think is worth that kind of money, but Winnipeg still wants to clear that anyway. And to me, Patrik Laine hasn't proved himself to be worth an $8 or $9, $10 million contract up to this point. When it comes to this season, again, it was inconsistent, but if he wasn't scoring goals, I think he'd be a fourth liner at best. The guy just cannot provide a lot of overall game, and that's a problem. When it comes to Patrik Laine, he's an opportunist. He scores his goals that way, and on the power play as well. But there was big stretches in the season where he was scoring nothing. He was just getting nothing going. There was some amazing spurts where he was absolutely on fire, but the inconsistency was throughout the whole season, and the only thing he had consistently was inconsistency. Now, for me personally, I don't think there's going to be a trade with Patrik Laine. I just do not see that happening. But if there's any player that I think will get opportunity in this offseason, I think it is Patrik Laine. Now, it's still probably unrealistic, but I can definitely see it happening. Now, Winnipeg, I still think wants to pay Patrik Laine. They want to pay him, not what he's worth, but what they want to get him signed. Again, I don't know if they'll be able to offer him $8, $9, $10 million. I'm not sure if that's possible. And if they aren't able to give him that, Patrik Laine could be on the offer sheet route. He could want that kind of offer, as we see Mitch Marner kind of finagle over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, again, I still think it's unrealistic, but when it comes to Patrik Laine, he's in such a unique situation that I could actually see it happen. Now, to me, if we do see an offer sheet, I think the best fit for Patrik Laine is the Carolina Hurricanes. They already got such a great force, especially finish-wise, getting guys like Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, and a lot of other solid players. But adding Patrik Laine to that would be absolutely amazing, and it does make sense. Carolina does have cap space. They're an up-and-coming team that can afford to give away some picks there, and Patrik Laine wants the money that I think Carolina would gladly give, especially this offseason, as revenue has been going skyrocketing for them. So when it comes to Carolina, I think that's the best fit offer sheet wise, but there's also a couple of teams that I think could be in the market for a potential trade. The two teams that I suggest might be trading for Patrik Laine are the New Jersey Devils and the Minnesota Wild. Two teams that I think want to go aggressive in this offseason, two teams that I think want to make a splash, and trading for Patrik Laine would certainly do that. Now, I think New Jersey is a lot better of a chance than Minnesota, just because I think they really want to be aggressive since Taylor Hall wants to re-sign there. He wants to have a good team, and I think Patrik Laine would certainly do the job. Going on to the next player on Winnipeg who's been swirling in the juicy trade rumors, we have Jacob Trouba. Now, he is another RFA on Winnipeg at age 25, 9th overall back in the 2012 NHL draft, and in the 2018-2019 season with Winnipeg, he ended up playing 82 games, getting 8 goals, 42 assists for 50 points. In the playoffs, he played 6 games, getting 1 assist for 1 point. When it comes to Jacob Trouba, he's a solid, especially top 4 defenseman that is useful for a lot of different teams, and we've seen a ton of interest in him, and Winnipeg seems like the right team to trade him. Now, Jacob Trouba is a right-handed defenseman in his prime, so it makes sense that there are a lot of suitors for him. But when it comes to Winnipeg, I think it is a wise decision to trade him now. His value is basically at a peak right now, and I think a lot of teams really do want that type of player. Now, of course, Winnipeg does also want to add some defense at the same time, so that might create some problems there. But I feel like a guy like Jacob Trouba is a smart player to trade at that point. He's probably going to ask for upwards of $7.5 million, which, again, with Winnipeg's cap situation, I don't know if they'll be able to afford him at that point, but there's been a lot of rumors on him and a lot of interest from a lot of different NHL teams. When it comes to Jacob Trouba trade rumors, there's been 4 major teams that we've gotten confirmed reports about being interested on Jacob Trouba. Now, the first one is the New York Rangers, the second one is the Detroit Red Wings, the third one is the New Jersey Devils, and last but not least, number 4, we have the New York Islanders. And that is very interesting. All 4 of those teams being on the Eastern Conference, it does make sense. Winnipeg likely will want to get that type of player out of their conference, and that is a wise move. But those 4 teams, I think, all kind of do make sense for Jacob Trouba, and a lot of fits are there. Now, thanks to Larry Brooks of the New York Post, we got some good information on what the New York Rangers might be offering in a potential Jacob Trouba trade. Now, Larry Brooks suggested the 20th overall pick in the 2019 NHL draft will be up there, Nils Lundqvist and Pavel Buchnevich. And that's, I think, a pretty solid trade for both teams. Jacob Trouba going to the New York Rangers would definitely strengthen that defense core, and Winnipeg also gets some solid spare pieces. Nils Lundqvist is a very solid defensive prospect. Buchnevich is a player that has potential, especially if used right on a right roster, and that 20th overall pick could become something very, very good too. So I think it does make sense for both teams. Jacob Trouba, the New York Rangers, honestly does make a lot of sense. Other than the New York Rangers, we also have the Detroit Red Wings, who are also kind of in their own when it came to the trade rumors on Jacob Trouba. There was a lot of reports that they are going to going after them. Same thing with the New Jersey Devils, who alongside the New York Rangers have been reported to go after him, and that makes sense. Again, with Taylor Hall, that whole thing he's stressing, making the team better, then he'll re-sign there. Jacob Trouba is an excellent add and will be a top 2 defenseman, likely the best defenseman on that defense core right out of the gate. And we also have the New York Islanders, who have the best defense in the league last season on paper, and if you add Jacob Trouba to that would also do a lot of damage, and he can bring a lot of offensive punch they're kind of missing on that back end. Now, to me, the most likely destination and probably the best fit for Jacob Trouba, I see the New Jersey Devils being that. Now, the New York Rangers are kind of a close second to me. I could also see them being very hard on the Trouba sweepstakes. But when it comes to New Jersey, again, that whole Taylor Hall situation, Hall wants the team to get better if he wants to re-sign there, and Jacob Trouba would do an excellent job at that. He'd be the best defenseman on the team right out of the gate, be a top 2 guy for them, and would immediately strengthen up that defense. And I feel like that's a solid add for them to make. Again, with New Jersey, I think they can afford him. They will go after him, and I think they will eventually trade for him. The next player that's been swirling around the Jets trade rumors, we have Nicolai Ehlers. Now, he is at age 23, a right winger, Danish-born hockey player, and he had a very interesting year. Now, he has $6 million for 6 more years on his contract. He was drafted 9th overall back in the 2014 NHL draft, and then 2018-2019 season, he had a little bit of a rough year, but still pretty solid. He played 62 games, getting 21 goals, 16 assists for 37 points. In the playoffs, he played 6 games, got 0 points, but I still think Ehlers is a very talented forward, and for any team that does end up trading for him, I think they'll definitely get a great reward. Now, I will admit, I am a big fan of Nicolai Ehlers, and he did have a rough year, but I still think he's very talented and is worth that contract. Now, the Winnipeg Jets are apparently interested in offers and are very accepting of offers, and that is very important. With the Winnipeg Jets, again, they got $25 million in cap space. If they aren't able to keep everyone together, they might want to get rid of some cap space, maybe go after a couple more free agents, and Nicolai Ehlers at $6 million is maybe an easy pick to go after. Now, again, he's the type of guy I think a lot of teams should be interested in, and I feel like he has a lot of value on the trade market. He's a guy that, again, could get them their next defenseman, especially if they end up trading Jacob Trouba. Now, we haven't heard too much on which teams will actually be interested in Nicolai Ehlers, but I think there's 4 teams that I think should go after Nicolai Ehlers. Now, the first one is Montreal Canadiens, the second one is the Carolina Hurricanes, the third one is the New York Rangers, and the fourth one is the Anaheim Ducks. And those are some good fits, in my opinion, for Nicolai Ehlers. A team that I think needs a top 6 winger, can afford to give away a defenseman. I think that's the type of team that will trade for Nicolai Ehlers. And of course, it looks like Winnipeg wants to do it. I think it will actually happen. Again, I think all 4 of those teams could potentially give up a defenseman in a Nicolai Ehlers trade. For Montreal, they might give up a guy like Victor Mete or Jeff Petrie. With the New York Rangers, they might give away a guy like Brady Shea. In the Carolina deal, you've got a bunch of defensemen, guys like Slavin, probably maybe Speshy, maybe Dougie Hamilton, maybe Justin Falk. On Anaheim, maybe a guy like Hampus Lindholm gets traded. Who knows? But I think the defenseman will be involved in a trade, in Nicolai Ehlers trade. I think like that's something that Winnipeg wants to go after, that they'll seek. And if we do see Nicolai Ehlers trade, which I think will actually happen, I think that will be the case. Now, whatever defenseman ends up going back, I think it will have to be a top 4 guy that has probably a lot less cap space than Nicolai Ehlers does and is probably pretty young. So I think that will affect things, but I think those 4 teams can afford to give away that type of player, and adding Nicolai Ehlers would do a lot of good for them. Now, out of the 4 teams that I mentioned in the Nicolai Ehlers sweepstakes, I think the team that makes the most sense is the Carolina Hurricanes. They're a team that needs that top 6 scorer, that speedy guy, another European on that top 6, but can't afford to give away a defenseman to get that type of need. And we've seen 2 of the big guys like Dougie Hamilton and Justin Falk being around the rumors of a potential swap there, and I think it does make sense, especially if Winnipeg could get a guy like Dougie Hamilton. That would be an excellent add to their defense. Now, I don't think Justin Falk would be an excellent compensation piece, but if you get a guy like Dougie Hamilton especially, that would heal the wound of a Nicolai Ehlers trade. Not completely, but I think it would be a decent trade for the Winnipeg Jets to make and would certainly strengthen that defense. But again, Nicolai Ehlers is the type of player that you do not want to trade. Yes, he did have a down year. There was some injuries involved there, but I feel like Nicolai Ehlers is the type of guy you keep to keep your team as good as it is. And Nicolai Ehlers has been a big part of that Winnipeg Jets team for a long, long time. While, of course, they get a pretty decent sum back, I think it's a lot more wise to trade a guy like Jacob Trouba or even a Patrik Laine before a guy like Nicolai Ehlers. The Winnipeg Jets are going to be one of the fascinating teams this offseason. They have so many different decisions and moves to make, whether it comes to their RFAs, the trades, their free agents, whatever it might be. Winnipeg is going to be one of the teams that you will want to pay attention to, not just because of the moves they end up making, but how the teams might end up looking like next season. It's really going to be fascinating to see what ends up happening and what happens with the 3 guys that I mentioned in this video. But of course, with this video, I need to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. So, let me know, what do you think about the Winnipeg Jets' latest trade rumors? What do you think about Nicolai Ehlers, Patrik Laine, Jacob Trouba, and what do you see Winnipeg doing in this NHL offseason? But, if you guys want some more Grav videos just like this one, you can click on this card right here to watch my Toronto Maple Leafs' latest NHL trade rumors involving Nazem Kadri, Kasperi Kapanen, Nikita Zaitsev, and Patrick Marleau. Enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on the Winnipeg Jets and the latest NHL trade rumors revolving them. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.